Isabella Monteverde, 22 years old, shrugs helplessly at Judge Frank Caprio and says, "No comprendo, sorry, no English," while wearing a $3,000 Versace dress and holding a Hermes bag worth more than most cars, her confused expression looking practiced. Judge Caprio slowly sets down his pen and asks if she would prefer the hearing in Italian, causing a brief crack in her mask before she insists she does not understand. Caprio then switches to flawless Italian, his Roman grandmother's accent filling the silent courtroom, as Isabella's face drains of color and her attorney, David Chen, demands an interpreter. Caprio points out that Isabella graduated summa cum laude from Harvard, where she wrote a 347-page thesis in perfect English titled Leveraging International Tax Havens. As the clerk formally calls the case, reckless driving at 94 miles per hour in a 30 miles per hour residential school zone, fleeing the scene of property damage, and making false statements to law enforcement, Isabella maintains her confusion. Officer Luis Martinez testifies that she fled after striking a parked Honda Civic, leading to a 7-block pursuit. Chen argues there is a language barrier, but Caprio notes Isabella has lived in Providence for 3 years, owns a $2.8 million condo, and is enrolled in Brown University's graduate linguistics program. Body camera footage then plays, clearly capturing Isabella speaking flawless, unaccented English while threatening the officer and invoking her father's wealth, causing her facade to collapse as Caprio directly confronts the contradiction. The videos are played, showing Isabella speaking to her phone in perfect Valley Girl English as she boasts about her new Lamborghini and speeding through Providence, laughing as the speedometer hits 90 and mocking American drivers before joking that she actually learned to drive in Connecticut. Isabella slumps in her chair as the performance ends, and Judge Caprio quietly tells her she has been pretending to be ignorant to avoid consequences, asking the prosecutor to explain further. The prosecutor presents a transcript showing Isabella has used the "no English" defense 4 times in the past 18 months, resulting in dismissed charges for minor violations, prompting Caprio to accuse her of weaponizing fake ignorance. Isabella suddenly responds in flawless English, dismissing the past incidents as minor and claiming this case is different, which Caprio sharply points out. When asked why she thought she could fool the court, Isabella arrogantly admits it always works by feigning confusion, speaking broken English, and invoking her father's money, claiming Americans feel guilty about language barriers and let her go. Caprio responds with controlled anger, explaining that his grandparents came from Italy with nothing and learned English through hard work, while she arrived with millions and pretended ignorance by choice. Officer Martinez then steps forward and asks to add something further. Officer Martinez explains that the damaged Honda Civic belongs to Maria Santos, a single mother working 3 jobs whose car was her only transportation, and that she cannot afford repairs. Isabella rolls her eyes and says insurance will cover it, but Judge Caprio explains that Miss Santos only has liability coverage because that is all she can afford, and that Isabella's Lamborghini caused $8,000 in damage to the only means Santos has to feed her children. Isabella waves off her attorney and dismissively offers to pay for the car so they can finish quickly because she has a flight. Caprio removes his glasses and tells her she has just demonstrated everything wrong with her attitude, believing money erases consequences and laws are optional for people like her, even as she boasts about her father donating millions to Brown University. Caprio sharply responds that one phone call does not make the court disappear, then instructs the clerk to read a federal investigation file revealing that Isabella's student visa expired 14 months earlier and that she has been illegally present while falsely claiming diplomatic immunity through her father's expired UN consultancy. Isabella protests, insisting her lawyer told her everything was fine, but Caprio states her lawyers took her money and lied while she broke federal law every day, too busy pretending not to speak English to notice her status. As her attorney turns pale and asks to review the claims, Caprio says ICE is already aware, calls in Agent Thompson, and an ICE officer enters as Isabella panics and begins speaking rapid Italian, only for Caprio to respond fluently, telling her that now she truly does not understand. Judge Caprio remarks on the irony as Isabella desperately switches back to English and begs, offering that her father will pay any fine, but Caprio makes clear the case is not about money and calls Maria Santos forward. Wearing work scrubs, Santos stands as Caprio orders Isabella to pay for all vehicle repairs, rental car costs, and lost wages, totaling $12,000 due immediately, which Isabella frantically accepts. Caprio then sentences her to 200 hours of community service teaching English as a second language to real immigrants at the Providence Community Center, explaining that since she pretended not to know the language, she will now teach it to people who genuinely struggle without wealth or privilege. When Isabella protests and threatens to call her embassy, Caprio states Italy does not shield visa violators who fake language barriers and explains, with Agent Thompson present, that she must accept the court's sentence and fix her visa status or face immediate deportation. Isabella reluctantly agrees, after which Caprio orders her to write sincere apology letters in both English and Italian to Officer Martinez and Maria Santos. He further states that she has 30 days to regularize her immigration status or face removal proceedings, advising her to stop pretending ignorance and consult real lawyers. When Isabella insists her father will fix everything, Caprio reminds her that her father is not in the courtroom and that she is about to learn what real consequences feel like, then instructs the clerk to document the payment arrangement. The clerk types rapidly as Isabella agrees to immediate payment of $12,000 in restitution, along with $1,000 in fines for reckless driving, $2,000 for fleeing the scene, and $1,000 for making false statements, her hands shaking as she transfers the money on her phone. Judge Caprio assures Maria Santos that full payment will be made within 24 hours, prompting a relieved, emotional thank you from her. Officer Martinez adds that Isabella nearly struck a crossing guard at Benefit Street Elementary while 6 children were in the crosswalk, causing Isabella to finally look down as genuine shame crosses her face. Caprio emphasizes the gravity of that moment, contrasting her Lamborghini with the lives of 6 8-year-olds, and sets her community service to begin Monday at 8 a.m. under Director Patricia Wong, an immigrant who built her life through hard work rather than pretense. When Isabella asks what happens if she is deported before completing the service, Caprio replies that she should have considered that before breaking federal immigration law while committing state crimes. Agent Thompson then instructs her to report to the ICE office the next morning with documentation to prove enrollment and good moral character for possible visa reinstatement, which Caprio pointedly notes is now her responsibility, advising her to attend classes instead of posting luxury videos. Her attorney gathers his papers and is told they have 29 days to prepare the visa application, because on day 30 Isabella will either be legal or gone, as the court notes that over the coming weeks her transformation begins. Isabella arrives at the Providence Community Center in designer clothes and is assigned by Patricia Wong to a beginner English class filled with dishwashers, cleaners, and factory workers struggling to survive, where a student named Miguel asks how to request time off for a sick child, forcing Isabella to realize she has never needed permission for anything. In the second week, her textbook-based lessons fail, and Maria Gonzalez, a hotel cleaner from Guatemala, asks for help writing a note to her daughter's teacher, prompting Isabella to design practical lessons focused on schools, medical appointments, workplace rights, and daily vocabulary. By week 3, she creates picture cards for shopping, doctor visits, and parent-teacher meetings as students begin sharing stories of fear, discrimination, and survival, and she stops checking her phone during class after a student from Vietnam tells her that people mistake lack of English for stupidity. In week 4, ICE conditionally reinstates her visa with strict requirements, and Isabella rejects her father's lawyers, insisting on fixing the problem herself. In week 5, Officer Martinez visits the class and Isabella publicly apologizes for pretending not to understand English, admitting it insulted those with real language barriers, earning applause from her students. In week 6, Maria Santos attends class with her daughter, who translates as Isabella helps them practice English, and Maria offers forgiveness, bringing Isabella to tears. In week 7, Isabella sells her Lamborghini and uses the money to fund ESL materials, astonishing Wong, and by week 8 she completes all 200 service hours as her students submit testimonials praising her understanding. 3 months later, Isabella returns to court dressed simply and tells Judge Caprio she learned that pretending ignorance is privilege and that real language barriers affect rights, education, and survival, acknowledging the harm she caused Maria Santos and the courage of her students. Caprio closes the case, secures her visa, and notes her growth as Isabella commits to continuing her work voluntarily. 1 year later, she establishes a full tuition scholarship for immigrant students at Brown University requiring ESL teaching, with Maria Santos's daughter as the first recipient, continues teaching refugees from multiple countries, and writes to Caprio thanking him for teaching her what it means to be American through character and contribution. 5 years later, Drive. Isabella Monteverde publishes a major linguistic study on the weaponization of language barriers, dedicates it to Caprio and her students, and the Providence Community Center names a classroom after her, where she still teaches every Tuesday. There is no Lamborghini in the parking lot anymore, only a used Honda Civic like the one Maria Santos once drove, a quiet reminder that actions have consequences in any language. Judge Caprio, now retired, visits occasionally and speaks to Isabella's students in Italian, Spanish, and Mandarin, languages he learned from his own immigrant community, while Isabella translates. Judge Caprio tells them that America does not require perfect English, only genuine. There is no Lamborghini in the parking lot anymore, only a used Honda Civic like the one Maria Santos once drove, a quiet reminder that actions have consequences in any language. Judge Caprio, now retired, visits occasionally and speaks to Isabella's students in Italian, Spanish, and Mandarin, languages he learned from his own immigrant community, while Isabella translates. Judge Caprio tells them that America does not require perfect English, only genuine. He finishes by saying, effort, and the students understand, not just the words, but the meaning. This is a dramatization for storytelling and education, not legal advice or reporting.